After a woman has had 5 partners, her chance of a happy marriage drops to 20%.
There are 2 things you should always ask anytime you're presented with a statement like this. Number 1, drop down to 20% from what? Number 2, is this only true for women? The answer to the first question is that it didn't drop to 20%, it looks like. Now, I have no idea what stat she's referencing, but every single source that I can find that is talking about this phenomenon is referencing the exact same study by the Institute for Family Studies, which, yes, show a drop from 64% with women that only have 1 sexual partner when they get married to 58% for women that have 5 sexual partners. And yes, you'll notice that people with 11 plus sexual partners when they get married have virtually the exact same chances of being in a successful relationship, with a note over here that these percentages aren't actually statistically significantly different than just 1 partner, which would imply that there might not be a drop at all. There probably is for a couple different reasons, but I'll get into that later. And of course, we see an incredibly similar drop when men have more sexual partners as well, so this is not a phenomenon that is unique to women. Now, not being in a happy marriage and getting divorced are obviously 2 different things, but they are things that are very clearly related. And this same study shows some very interesting statistics about the odds of divorce when you increase the number of sexual partners that a person has, which is that before the 2000s, the group of people that were the most likely to get a divorce were not the people with the most sexual partners. There are people with specifically 2 sexual partners before they got married. All this suggests that this causal relationship that she's trying to suggest here is perhaps non-existent, or at the very least not as airtight as she is implying. Now, why might more sexual partners be negatively correlated with the odds of being in a happy marriage? Well, I can think of a couple reasons. People who are religious are more likely to have fewer sexual partners, and they're also more likely to value marriage more highly. People with multiple sexual partners are more likely to have kids from previous relationships or previous marriages, which can add stress to a new marriage. People who are really bad at relationships are more likely to have more sexual partners because they are not particularly good at maintaining a happy relationship, which would translate to not being particularly good at maintaining a happy marriage. People who spend most of their life in one relationship don't really have anything else to compare it to, whereas if you've been in multiple relationships, you're more likely to notice flaws or inconsistencies in your partner's behavior. I.e., people with more partners are less likely to tolerate being mistreated because they know there are better options. Also, if you are currently in an unhappy marriage, you are more likely to cheat, which will mean you'll have a higher number of sexual partners, not because you were very promiscuous before you got married, but just because you are currently having an affair. Which I'm not making up, they do list that as a possibility.
And the average woman has slept with more than 5 men.
I don't know, according to the CDC, the median number of sexual partners for women is 4.3 between the ages of 25 to 49, and is actually 6.3 for men.
Then we start to go into weight, where women are overweight.
Are men not? Are only women getting fatter? Because if men are also gaining weight, why is this not also an issue that's getting addressed in the context of relationships? Maybe it's because we don't only value men for their appearance, and so when they start gaining weight or are no longer conventionally attractive, we don't start freaking out like they're losing all their worth in the context of a relationship, because we recognize that, of course, there are other things that can make them valuable.
What else does men get out of marriage? They get loyalty. But not today, because half of women leave.
Divorce rates are the lowest they've been in 50 years. Like, it hasn't been this low since literally the 1960s. Also, we do know that the spike in divorce in the 1970s was because they rewrote divorce laws so people were allowed to cite just irreconcilable differences as a reason for divorce. Before then, you had to prove either adultery or abuse in order to get divorced. So unless you're suggesting that, divorce should be illegal or something.
That's why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm done. Bye!